Hello, welcome to Undisputed Boxing. We're going festive, the last one before Christmas. I'm here with Rick. We're just going to catch up on some boxing news, some fights that have been made for the for January and February. Looks like the schedule is hotting up. I mean, the schedule, well, for the last 5 or 6 weeks has been amazing. We've had some great fights. I've barely had enough time to catch up with it all. But yeah, what news have you got, Rick?
Well, some of it's just rumours and how things are moving. So obviously the big one for Britain is AJ Fury. And I suppose not tons of news on this other than the talks are taking place. I think they're getting close to contracts drawing, the stage of drawing up contracts. Fury was on a talk show over here on Saturday night. So I think both camps want it. And we'll just see how it materializes. I think they'll be aiming to kind of secure a date and a site in January, or probably I'd imagine like a February announcement. I mean, COVID could get in the way of things, but we're expecting it to be in the Middle East around late May time. What it's looking like. So yeah, fingers crossed on that one. Have you heard anything else different to that? That's kind of where we seem to be moving.
Yeah, I think there's been very little. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of talk and a lot of trash talk between the two camps, which actually I think is a good sign. I think that means that they're making progress and things are going to move in the right direction, and we won't get another Wilder situation.
I think Fury's been trash talking a little bit.
Yeah,
he's been appearing with pictures of you big dossers and Hearn and AJ on the front. So there's a bit of that going on, but it's not too bad. And I think Hearn and AJ are just totally doing the opposite of what they did with Wilder and just not saying anything that much. And then we've got White, who, we thought he was going to fight the rematch against Povetkin. That was meant to take place back in November, I think, 23rd. Then we heard it was going to be the back of January. And we were warned that Povetkin may want another week or 2 weeks. And now it sounds like he wants another 4. And I think White's getting a bit peeved and it has asked Hearn to start looking for other opponents. I actually think this is just a bit of noise. And if it's 4 weeks, even Hearn said it, you should really just go, right, you need to get this guy out and you need to beat him. So just wait another 4 weeks. I think if it starts slipping again and again, but unfortunately he's got the against him. So he needs to fight him, because if he fights someone else, he's always going to have that Povetkin thing on his record. But it is interesting because obviously, he wants a big fight. He needs a big fight to bounce back from, if that's his kind of plan. And so Ortiz has been put out there, and Ruiz and all these. I can't see Ruiz taking it. I can't see Wilder taking it. You potentially Ortiz. That would be a good fight. I'd like to see that. But part of me wants to see him, get the Povetkin thing on it, right that wrong. So I don't quite know. I think there's more noise than anything will change. Have you heard similar stuff?
Yeah, just the same as you, really. That I think Dillian Whyte, he's a very emotional character, and I think when he's not getting something his own way, he'll be very quick to kind of make comment on it. And yeah, I think obviously he wants to right that wrong. But I don't know. I'd side a little bit with Alexander Povetkin on this. This is the fight. Povetkin hasn't got many fights left in his career, and there has been talk about him retiring as well. And if he is going to go back in there again with Dillian Whyte, this is his chance to beat Dillian Whyte and actually get into a position to win a world title again. So he's not going to be rushed into making a decision. He will want to be as close to 100% or 100% as he possibly can. So I can understand why. He's maybe putting a delay, and maybe, I don't know, does it giving it a little bit more time? Is it going to favor Povetkin? Let Dillian Whyte get a little bit frustrated, maybe take his eye off the ball, looking at other fights and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's a little bit of mind games.
Yeah, it depends. Firstly, White shouldn't have lost him in the first place, and he wouldn't be in this mess. So he's only got himself to blame to some degree. Depends how ill he's been, Povetkin, and that. If he needs the time, he does. At the end of the day, Father Time is not on his side. No. So the longer it goes on for, the older he's getting, the more he's deteriorating. And I'm still convinced that, he was a punch away from getting him out. Even when he knocked White down, he seemed to be stumbling himself. So, I've been interested. And the only other thing before we get onto actual fight announcements, which you'll cover off for us, but just a bit of noise over here. It's only light noise, and again, not sure if there's much in it. Is especially David Hayes been mouthing off quite a bit. Obviously, Chisora's manager about a Chisora and Joyce fight. Now, there's a possibility in that because Chisora is almost like a free agent when it comes to promotional teams, so he could go over to fight on BT because I imagine that's where Warren won it. Yeah. The levels are right. You could say, Chisora's fought at a good level. He's only lost recently to a very good fighter, and Joyce has just beaten someone who's a big-ish name. But you know what I mean? It'd be a good. I think both can get something for it. And when I think I see a fight like that, there's usually a good chance that it can happen. Joyce is carrying that win under his belt from Dubois, and that'd be a good win then for Chisora, and could catapult him back up to close to a belt again. And for Joyce, it's real kind of a sign that I'm now in the big mix. If I deal with Chisora and clean him out, or beat him within the distance, I'm a real player. He's a bit of a, I wouldn't say gatekeeper, Chisora, but he's gatekeeper at the top, at the high level.
Yeah.
So gathering a bit of momentum, and I think that could be a spring fight, but we'll just have to see how it plays out. But we have had some proper announcements. So what have you going to walk us through those?
Yeah. So Sergei Kovalev is going to be fighting against Melikuziev. I'm probably murdering that name. He's Uzbekistan amateur boxer. He turned pro. He's 6-0. He's been campaigning at super middleweight, but he's actually trained by the Diaz brothers. So they clearly see something in him that can deal with a Sergei Kovalev. It's a strange fight in some ways. It's on DAZN, and it's obviously part of the DAZN fight deal that they got with Sergei Kovalev because he fought Canelo and obviously lost. And this is obviously his second fight, but they must be paying him quite well on this, and he's kind of fighting a prospect. But this Melikuziev, he looks like a monster, but a bit fleshy, but looks very, very heavy-handed. And I think looking at the fights that I've seen him in and how he's stopping people and his amateur background and where Kovalev is now, I'd probably pick this guy to beat Kovalev. And, it's going to be an opportunity for him to announce himself on the world stage. So that fight's been announced for the 30th of Jan. I think on the same night.
Do we know what his chin's like?
No, he hasn't been hit. I mean, he's just been in fights where he's in offensive mode and he's walking them down and basically chinning guys. I think he's gone the distance once. Let me just check.
That's always the risk, though, isn't it? You've not seen an element of his ability, really.
Well, I mean, it's a huge gamble. I mean, it's a gamble that obviously Frank Warren had with Anthony Yard. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'll be an interesting fight. I saw it was announced by Mike Coppinger on Twitter, and Lou DiBella mentioned it as well and said this is a great fight. So it's going to be competitive. And I think one to watch for sure. Another fight that was announced on the same night, different card, is Caleb Plant is fighting Caleb Truax. So Caleb Truax obviously famously beat James DeGale. So he's still quite highly ranked in the IBF. So I think that's why that's happening. I think it is a tick over fight, and it's a fight that's been made within PBC. And I think really just sort of a tick over, and then obviously they're going to try and get the Canelo fight for Caleb Plant. I see Caleb Plant, winning that one quite comfortably.
DeGale won the rematch, didn't he?
He did, but barely. It was.
I was trying to think back.
He won the rematch, and then he cashed out against Chris Eubank Jr. Apparently, Chris Eubank Jr. was supposed to fight Caleb Truax. because he's with PBC now. But Chris Eubank Jr., I mean, I don't know what he's doing with his career. He's really kind of throwing his career away because he's not young anymore. I think he's 31 next year, and he hasn't fought. Has he fought since James DeGale? Yes, he fought Dmitry Chudinov, I think. And I think the Chudinov retired in the 3rd or 4th round. But yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. kind of get up.
Recently, didn't he? He retired again recently, didn't he? He's getting a bit of
Chudinov.
A bit of a broken body, I think. Yeah.
I'm not sure. But he retired in the fight. Like he had to pull out the fight. He wasn't able to continue. So it went down as.
I mean, he's fought recently and done the same again.
Oh right. Oh sorry, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but yeah, again, I think he had to pull out after a very few rounds. It's like, mate, if you can't get through a few rounds in a fight, should you be in the ring?
Yeah. And then of course Josh Kelly against David Avanesyan, which is a really good fight actually. Really good fight. Is that on the 23rd of Jan?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
don't know where in the UK yet. Depends what's going on with our tier system. Because I think they were going to go back to Wembley because they quite like the setup. But if they go to Wembley, they're unlikely to have crowds. Even in January, it's hard to know. But I mean, I don't know if he probably was joking, but there's probably some sense in it. He's saying we should try and find a place in Cornwall because that's one of the only areas in the country that's tier 1. I don't think there's any arenas down
on the beach.
Yeah, open air. Apparently, Matchroom is saying that there's a couple of big announcements next week on fights, and again, Hearn doing his salesman job, but he's like absolutely buzzing for the first quarter and into spring. Best lineup we've ever had. But it's been a good end, so yeah, they've got to keep it going.
Great end. Oh, that was one that we have forgotten is Chocolatito's fighting Daniel Estrada. Massive fight.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. When's that then?
I don't know. Is it end of February? Let me have a quick check on BoxRec whilst you're on there. Actually, another one that we forgot to mention on the when we were doing the review was Tim Tszyu, who is Kostya Tszyu's son. He fought on Wednesday of this week and won by knockout, first round knockout. And he's now, I think, 14 or 15-0. He actually beat Jeff Horn early part of this year. Jeff Horn, obviously famously beat Manny Pacquiao. And he lost a points decision, I think, to Terence Crawford. But Tim Tszyu, at light middleweight, he's quite highly ranked as well. I think he's in the top 10 in a couple of the governing bodies. And looks a real force, actually, to be honest. So, yeah. We'll see what he brings. Roman Gonzalez. 1 second. Bear with me. Estrada is 13th of March.
Okay.
Haven't said where it's going to be yet. I'm sure it'll obviously be in the.
You would think as well that a fight soon to be announced as the Coley fight for the world title, because that was basically, that's almost a delayed fight. He went ahead with this other fight just to keep ticking over. So we should get a date for that, really. Maybe that's announcements next week.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So we should hear on that then pretty soon. All right. Well, I think that is pretty.
What are we doing next week?
So yeah, next week. So we'll do 2 videos on Boxing Day. We'll do a preview of Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia, and then why don't we do an awards? So we'll do knockout of the year, fight of the year, and fighter of the year. And then we can do a little bit of a thing on fighters to watch for, up and coming fighters for next year, or ones to watch.
Upset of the year.
Sorry, what?
Upset of the year.
Oh, upset of the year. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Upset of the year. We'll do upset of the year as well.
And then the following week, we're going to do our pound for pound list, aren't we? In around New Year time.
Yeah. Why don't we do that in the new year then? After we've reviewed Campbell and Garcia, we can do a pound for pound update. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick one on Ryan Garcia. I know we'll do a full breakdown and preview. But who are you picking out of Garcia and Campbell at the moment?
I think I'm leaning towards Garcia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's one of these where, Campbell is a very good fighter, but he's not. I mean, he's world class in a sense, but he's just not elite. And he comes up against the very best, he's going to get found out. And I think we've seen that. And I do think he's improved, but I just think even now, coming up against the very best, he'll get found out. Garcia could be the very best, but we just don't quite know because he's not got a big name on his record. So that's the question, really. It's how good is Garcia? He looks good. He looks like he could be the business. If he's what we think he could be, he'll probably beat him.
Yeah.
We don't quite know yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Yeah. I'm probably leaning the other way, actually, but I'm probably going to do a bit more, research, watch a few more fights. I haven't really seen that much of Ryan Garcia. I know he looks very good on the pads and he's very flashy, but a lot.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same a bit. I'm the same. I haven't seen tons of him. And then just because there's not much footage of him or zero footage of him against anyone that's, really good, you're kind of guessing. You're heavily guessing. You haven't got to work with because all you've got is him looking good against mediocre, and you're just trying to say, right, well, he's made that kind of level look really poor. Can he do the next level?
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, cool. So I'll see you on Boxing Day. If I don't speak to you, have a great Christmas. All right, thanks everybody for watching.